we have Justin Fields. Evan has him ranked as quarterback 6, while Dalton, on the other hand, doesn't. He seems like he's not on the Fields train this year, and he has him ranked as quarterback 9. I'll have Dalton start first, and just trying to see where his stance is here. Dalton.
Well, I think there are a lot of questions with Justin Fields. I think the best argument to start with him being a quarterback 9 is we have to wonder if he's a good passer. And I think objectively the answer is no. When you look at him last year and the year before, he had the highest sack rate in the NFL. Sacks are the ultimate drive killer and the worst for fantasy football production. The more often there are sacks, the least likely the drives are to continue, the least opportunity there are for other players, including the quarterback. Also, he had the second slowest time to throw last year. The only quarterback slower than him was Zach Wilson. Justin Fields' time to throw was 2.95 seconds. Zach Wilson's was 3.05. And then he was the third least accurate quarterback in passes last year. I know a lot of people have attributed his inefficiencies in passing to a bad wide receiver core, but he wasn't even throwing on-target passes to the wide receivers he had. So with those, and then just looking at his raw stats, I mean, he's 30th in completion percentage, first in sacks, 29th in EPA per pass attempt, 24th in passer rating, and 16th in passing touchdowns. I don't buy that Justin Fields is going to improve as a passer. I don't think this is a Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen situation because DJ Moore is an A.J. Brown. He isn't Stephon Diggs. He's a above average wide receiver. He's a good wide receiver, but with incredibly poor passing statistics in his first 2 seasons. And then when you combine, he didn't get an elite wide receiver to influence him and make the situation better. I don't think that he's going to have the passing statistics to command him being that good of a fantasy quarterback.
All right. I would also like to add, after Dalton added all of that information, he has him as QB 9 with just denigrating Justin Fields and having him at 9. So seems off to me, but Evan, you're up.
All right. I guess I just have one question to pose here before I get started. Dalton, do you know what Justin Fields finished last season? Quarterback blank.
4.
He was quarterback 5. He did all of that, and he was quarterback 5 last season, and he was also quarterback 5 in points per game as well. Just a very small tick above Lamar. Now, the Bears threw at a historically low rate last season. Part of that can definitely be attributed to Fields and his struggles. Their struggles are real. We've talked about them. There's no doubt about it. If those struggles were not real, he would be in the quarterback 2, 3, 4 discussion. I think for me, quarterback 6 is a tier below that top 5. And he was also dealing with one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. Hopefully that will be a little bit better with their offseason additions this year. I don't think it's realistic to expect the Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts leap, but I do think it's realistic for him to get better. Like, DJ Moore may not be A.J. Brown or Stephon Diggs, but I think you're selling him a little bit short by just saying he's above average. I think he's a legitimate good NFL receiver who's gone over 1,000 yards multiple times. You look at what he had last season. He had Darnell Mooney, who was injured. He had Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet was his leading receiver with like 500 yards last season. And Chase Claypool came in and did absolutely nothing midseason. So maybe with DJ Moore in the fold, that can take the pressure off of those other guys. Mooney can be a good deep threat. Moore can do the same as well, and Kmet can provide some more production, maybe Claypool as well. The one thing that Justin Fields actually does do average as a passer, slightly above average, is throw the deep ball. So you hope maybe Mooney being able to be more of a deep ball specialist, and if he stays healthy, and Moore can do that too, that can help him in that regard. But, I know some of this is Fields' own doing. You're right on him pulling the ball too long. Again, we've talked about that. But I also think part of it is the offensive line. Last season, he threw 46% of his passes under pressure. No quarterback was higher than 43%. That was Daniel Jones at 43%. That's per Warren Sharp. And really, here's what it comes down to. The passing just has to stay about the same, maybe get a tick better, because this guy is only one of 3 quarterbacks to ever rush for 1,000 yards in a season. It's Vic, it's Lamar, and it's Fields. He had more rushes of 20 or more yards than 13 NFL teams last season with 10. This guy is an elite rusher. Even small improvements with passing can offset maybe a slight step back in rushing. I like Fields in that QB6 range.
All right, and I forgot how I did this last year. Do I choose a winner here?
I mean, Dalton. Dalton and I can go back and forth a little bit. If we want to do a little like cross examine, if Dalton wants to press me on something, and we can go back and forth, and then you can pick a winner after that.
All right, let's start with the cross examination. I learned that from the show Suits. Dalton, you're up.
Suits is all over the header of my Netflix right now. Haven't watched it yet.
It's so good.
Well, you've activated my trap card, Evan. Because I specifically want to talk about Justin Fields rushing. He is one of 3 quarterbacks to end with more than 1,000 rushing yards. Of those 3 quarterbacks, how many of their yards were garnered on designed runs versus scrambles percent? The numbers may surprise you. Unfortunately for Justin Fields, 62% of his rush yards last season came on scrambles, and 38% came on designed runs. That's almost the inverse of Michael Vick's career year and Lamar Jackson's years. Now, the only reason that concerns me is I don't think that scrambles are as a consistent measure as designed runs. They're broken plays. They're plays where anything can happen. And I don't think that year to year they're as correlative. So part of the reason for this ranking is I think that Justin Fields takes a step backwards as a rusher. One, because I don't think he'll scramble near as much. I think they're going to try to make him sit under his line and throw the ball more. And 2, I think after a year of tape, NFL teams are going to be way more likely to have scramble drills with Justin Fields and really try to clamp down on his rushing percentage.
Yeah, I just think he's such a good runner. I know you and I both disagree with where he was at in the top 100, but I think I saw it was Nick Bosa said he's the best running quarterback he's ever seen. Obviously, Bosa has seen Lamar too. I just think he's that good of a runner that it really doesn't matter as much if teams are going to focus more on that. Now, I'm with you that he could take maybe a small step back rushing, but where we disagree ultimately is I do think he's going to take a little bit of a step forward passing. I'm not saying he's going to be a better passer than Hurts, especially this year. He has more arm talent than Jalen Hurts has, though. Like he's working with more arm talent. He's more in the Josh Allen mold as far as that goes than Hurts, who was just dealing with just not being a good enough thrower, and then he just became a very good thrower. I think DJ Moore is going to help with that a lot, and I think a better offensive line, second year in the system, and I think the running, while it might not be 1,000 yards, I think we can reasonably expect awesome rushing numbers again from Fields.
I think the Bears stick with Fields this season, but I wouldn't be entirely surprised if they were looking at a quarterback in next year's draft if he doesn't improve as a passer.
It would depend on where they draft because if they were teetering like that already, they should have just done that this year, and they could have done that this year at number 1. So they would basically, what I'm saying is they would have to be picking 1 or 2 overall, I think, to make that change. I don't think you can trade up for a quarterback after you just could have just taken a quarterback this year. All right, Johnny, I think we're out of time, out of discussion with this one. Who are you siding with?
I would like to say hand up. There's a little bit of pandering from me from the very start, and I kind of denigrated Dalton's ranking by saying he said all of that and still has him at QB9. But I'm excited with Evan on this debate.